Well, welcome everyone. Welcome Chris and Nashely. We are here broadcasting Illuminated Bookbinding from Brockport, New York.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh yeah, thank you for being here. I'm so excited for this first video for everyone in our class at RIT or at home, just looking to learn some new skills. Today we're going to be focused on setting up an in-home studio. We're in our home here, and the basic tools and materials and supplies you need to get going with bookbinding and making your own books. We're also going to be making a single pamphlet that looks like this, so we can get right into making some simple book structures.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So, some basic setting up tools and materials for bookbinding. These are some recommended tools, but we can also go over alternatives. If you can't get out of the house and just are finding things that are lying around, we can definitely find some solutions. So first, in bookbinding, it's really helpful to have a bone folder. These are little plastic ones that I have ordered. And if you don't have one, that is okay. You can use anything like a pen or butter knife or even like a pencil. They're used for getting folds to be nice and flat. So this is good if you have one, but okay if you don't have one. We'll need a cutting surface. So something like a cutting mat works really well. If you don't have that, scrap cardboard, scrap wood, scrap whatever to protect your table surfaces is great. So I have some bookbinding board. A cutting knife like this Olfa cutting knife is good for cutting with a ruler, shapes and lines. And scissors, an awl for punching holes. But if you don't have an awl, something like a needle, just punching with a needle works really well. And these punching cradles, which are created just with some binder's board. 2 pieces of binder's board with some book cloth down the middle and little slits cut out, which fit really nicely in these binder's board pieces with little triangles cut out so we can cut our holes really nice and easily. But if you don't have access to this, you can use just poking off the table, which we can go over, or a phone book, punching into an old phone book, an old book. That works really well. All right. So, are we ready?
I think we're ready. Yeah?
Yeah? So, our first structure will be the single pamphlet, which is composed of a piece of cover material and inside pages. Then the cover is sewn to the inside pages like that. Lots of different examples of cover material that we can use. Some handmade paper made at Revival Book Arts down in Trumansburg, New York. Little chicken print book. So if you have old stamps hanging around, you can decorate your cover. And this one's made from just a old file folder, which I have on hand for us. So like any old paper that's lying around the house that's a little bit thicker, you can make it to a book cover. Right. Step 1 will be to prepare our inside pages. So for the inside pages, you can use computer paper like this, or lined paper like this. Really, whatever you have access to. So our first step here would be to take 5 pieces of whatever kind of paper, mix and match. And we're going to actually fold this in half and cut it in half, or tear it in half, just to have a nice small size book. So folding and tearing can be a really nice way to cut paper pretty evenly and have a nice furrowed, like soft edge. So basically fold them all at once. Might want to use the bone folder tool to crease that nice section. And then maybe take them one at a time and try to tear them in half. Yeah, teamwork makes the dreams work.
They should all be facing the same way, right?
Ideally, yeah, having all of the torn edges on top.
Okay. There we go.
Very good. Our next step is to jog them, which is to line them all up by shuffling, and then carefully fold them in half all together. When we fold sections, which a group of pages like this is called a section, we want to fold all of the pages together so that the crease with each page lines up really well with one another. Rather than folding them individually, you'd have sharp creases trying to fit in each other and they just won't fit that well. So this way, we're forming really nice packed pages together. Beautiful. Another section folded. Now we can think about cover material. So our options are some file folder material. We have paper bags. Now everybody might be having a large stock of paper bags with the change from plastic. That is possible. And then this colored paper, which I found at a craft store, and could make a nice cover. So put those out and you all can choose. I might go with the paper bags to explore that option.
I think we'll do something different. See how it works with two very different materials.
Yeah.
So we're going with file folders.
Excellent. Very good. So in preparing our covers, we want to measure the height of our section in relation to the cover. So since these materials both have folds in them already, I would suggest to line up the spine of our section with a fold that's already there. So like that one. So I might trim, I might leave this, I don't know if y'all can see at home, but this is like a sort of tattered, crumpled edge that looks kind of nice. So I'm just gonna leave it. You could trim any edges that you don't like, trim it down with a ruler and an X-Acto knife. But for us, our next step is to lay the section flush with the top of your material. If you would like a little bit of extra material, at the head, top of the book is called the head, bottom of the book is tail, side is foredge, just a terminology. And if you would like a little bit of space beyond the section, that's called the square. And usually it's about 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters beyond the section at the head and tail. So just adjust your section to reveal that if you want to see a little bit of extra. I'm going to use a pencil to mark where we want to trim And that might be 1 or 2 millimeters beyond this section. When making marks, it's nice to have a few 3 marks to make an exact cut.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to extend and make a couple more marks.
Might not have enough space
That's
for both. Can I go down?
what you'll do is actually put so this is a question of having enough cover material. And what this book will look like is the section getting placed into the fold and then this extra material being folded in.
Okay.
So you should have plenty of material.
Okay.
You can just work with those cuts.
Alright.
I might recommend trimming off these metal pieces before cutting your line.
Right.
Just to make things easy. Next step is to use our ruler and an X-Acto knife to trim that line that we just made. So I kind of like to stand up and have a little bit more control and pressure on the ruler. So carefully line up those marks. Extend our blade. Be careful with these sharp tools. And if you don't have access to this blade, I would say just use a pencil. Draw your line, and then use scissors to cut the line as straight as possible. But let's go like this. It might need a couple of trims, so just be sure to not move the ruler and make another trim. And you can use that. Here's my little piece of paper. I'm just gonna figure out. Just trying to figure this thing out. And I think the best thing for this paper bag might be to just fold everything in half. Why not? Have a couple layers for extra thickness. Oh, excellent. That looks great. Your section should fit right in the fold. Just like that. And now we're going to use the punching cradle to punch some holes in these sections.
Okay.
And the way that we'll do it is, first step is to lay your book with your cover and your section into the cradle. Like that. We'll want to position the section in the very center of the cover. So if you have any extra space, just naturally slide that section up or down. Keeping all the pages together. Just look like that.
About in the center? Okay.
Excellent. Now we'll punch the holes with our awl, being very careful because it's sharp. But the first hole that we'll punch is about 1/2 inch down from the top or bottom of the book. Your tail. 1/2 inch. For those interested in using measurements is right there. Right there for those at home. But approximately that much. Doesn't have to be perfect for this first book. Something like that. Yes, very nice.
Like push that.
Yeah, so pushing down with the awl, try to push down 1/2 inch into the awl because any more, and that's a very big hole, and any less, it's a very small hole.
Okay.
And do that same thing at the other side, so 1/2 inch from the head or tail. And now in the very middle, so, well, approximately in the middle, best that you can. And now split between those 2 points, head and tail, or the middle and head, and then halfway between the other set of holes. So we have 5 holes total. I'll show folks at home, sort of like that. 5 holes. Awesome, yeah, you got it. Now these little books are ready to sew. For thread in bookbinding, linen thread is ideal, like a nice, really strong thread made of flax. But maybe you don't have that at home. Maybe you have yarn. Yarn works fine. Embroidery floss, that works really well. And I have, obviously, a big load of embroidery floss for us to use. So you may choose whichever color you'd like to sew with.
Yeah, that looks good.
I'm thinking fluorescent pink with this brown bag.
Is there a reason to use something like flax or threads like that over embroidery floss or any other options?
The main reason is strength. So flax compared to cotton is a lot stronger. So as you're sewing like a large book, that comes in handy because it starts to wear down over time. And with use, of course, if you're throwing this in your bag or playing catch with it, I don't know.
Right.
You want something really strong. But for our purposes, cotton will work all right. Pretty available and cheap as well. Like these, I got at So Green in Rochester. Ooh, So Green! And they're like 10 cents a piece. So super affordable. The measurement of thread that we'll need is 3 times the height of the book. So the height would be from head to tail. And to measure that, we'll take one end of the thread and lay it on the book once. And then take that measurement and bring it to the beginning twice. And then one more time to account for knots.
Hold right there. And we can do 2 and 3. Cut. There.
Here's a little DIY awl that I wanted to show you. Awl? And it's just a needle that I stuck into a little piece of wood with some strong glue. And you can use that to punch holes just fine. A little DIY solution. With our thread, we'll use this beeswax, which is just a beeswax candle that my friend gave me to pass the thread through to coat it with a little bit of wax. And that helps to keep it strong as we're sewing. Yeah, it keeps the threads from tearing.
Mm-hmm. Could you use a normal candle or any other options for something like that?
You could use any old candle, like from Yankee Candle.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that I've found is that those have some like additives in it, so it ends up looking a little bit colored from whatever they add.
Right.
Where this is clear, but that works really well too. Awesome. Now needles, which in bookbinding we usually use blunt needles that don't have a sharp end, but whatever needle that you can find at your home will work. Embroidery needles or tapestry needles work really well. Thread this by putting in the eye. And you could use a little wax on the end if you want.
It's like a little flared.
Yeah, embroidery floss does that sometimes. I would normally say use some saliva, but since we're in pandemic mode, we're gonna use alternatives. I will even grab some water. And one little trick, which isn't quite as effective with embroidery floss, but it still works, is to hold the needle in place by extending the end of the thread a few inches, and then we'll actually pierce the middle of the thread with our needle.
Okay.
Which looks like, for those at home, finding the very middle of the thread, piercing it, and then pull it on through. Yeah. And then keep pulling. And cinch it up. Yeah. Until, it won't stay totally, but just have your fingers holding that thread together. Awesome. Now open up your book, the very middle, and we'll start sewing in the middle station, either on the inside or the outside. Wherever you start, you'll have a knot. So if we start in the middle, we'll have a little end of a knot in the middle. So either way you want to start. Pull it through till you have just a few inches for a tail, like that. And if you have a helper, maybe the helper could hold on to that knot as you're sewing, or that end, rather.
Okay.
Did you take the needle out?
Keep it
Just,
on there,
Just pinch it and then keep pulling. There we go.
Next we'll go up to the next hole. And then out the very last hole. Down. And now we'll reverse order. So we're at the top here, and we'll go back into the same hole we just have went into.
Okay.
Careful not to split the thread if possible.
Those are maybe getting a little misaligned. Is there anything-
So suggestions, if your section doesn't line up quite right with your cover, would be to first separate the cover from the sections and then go through just the cover with that needle. Go through that, and then we'll look for it in this space and then line it up. Yeah. Very good. Yay. Okay, now at this point we have a thread coming out the middle and we're here. And where do you all think we're gonna go next? Just curious.
Back to the middle?
That's what I would think, you know, because that's the order we're going in. However, pause. We're actually going to jump over the middle.
Okay.
A little leapfrog action with the green, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And go into the next hole
Okay.
beside the middle hole. Be very careful. Now we'll go back in at the top hole. The very top here. Tight. Alright, so we find ourselves on the outside of the section with one gap to fill in. And at this point, just we'll check our tension to be sure that the thread is pulled nice and tight. Not so tight that we're tearing it, but so that we don't have little loose areas in the sewing.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Looks good, yeah. And our last move will be to go into the very middle hole from the outside, like that. And then try our best to have one of the ends of the thread on the right side of the middle thread, and then the needle and thread on the left side.
Okay.
So one needle on each side of that center thread. Very good. Let's just see. Excellent. Got one on the right and one on the left.
Like under?
Yes, one should go under. And that's easy enough to do. Excellent. Now we're going to tie a square knot. Do you all know what a square knot might be? Ah, that's okay. A square knot is tying a double knot right over left, left over right. So that'll look like, or left over right like this, tied down. And then right side over left, so it flip-flops. Which one is on top? Tied down.
So,
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Very good. Awesome. We'll use the scissors. Can I just borrow? Thank you. And trim the ends to be about a 1/4 inch long or longer if you like to have longer ends. But about that much is really good. Yeah. And a little detail that can be nice. I see kind of smoothing it out. But you could fray the ends with a needle or the awl just to secure that knot in place. And a little bit of frayed detail can be kind of nice. We'll be sure with our needle to put them in a safe spot. Awesome. And now for finishing up these books, the edges of the paper, if you have extra like this, can be trimmed flush or folded in to give a nice kind of double thick cover. Do you have a preference on trimmed or folded?
what do you think?
Folded would look like this, a little flat. Trimmed would look more like that. Just trimmed flush.
I think I like a better folded.
Very nice. Yes. This paper bag thing, I think this is just gonna be like that. But for yours, you can use your ruler, and I can demonstrate on this. It's already folded. So, place the ruler underneath your whole entire section and reveal just a little bit of a glimmer of the ruler, up to like a millimeter, so that you're seeing the same amount of ruler sticking out the whole way down. Next, use your bone folder to score and fold, which looks like putting the bone folder against the ruler the whole way down, and then using your hand to bring up that folded piece of paper and push it against the ruler. Yeah, very nice. And then before you totally fold it, take the ruler out because it's adding some thickness. And then you can fold it all the way down, being sure that the top of the paper lines up the whole way. It's a nice straight fold.
Ours wasn't cut quite.
It's not exactly even.
Well, line up one edge the best you can, I would say, and we can always trim after if possible. Okay. Now give it a nice fold, bone fold crease. Awesome. And then repeat that same process on the other side of putting the ruler underneath and bone folding.
Underneath this section.
Good. Take that out. Very good. Now you have a little book. Oh my gosh. Paper bag book. Folder book. If you want to make those little trims, what we could do is make pencil marks where you want to trim. Maybe even the line that's folding, that's extending over, and then just use scissors.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. It's all good? It's all good. There are no rules. Not today.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah, and oh, it's St. Patrick's Day.
Yep,
What's
that's
today?
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yep.
Awesome.
We made a St. Patrick's Day book.
Yeah, we can still celebrate.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining
Thank you.
us. And thank you for everybody at home who's tuning in. And hope to see you next time. All right.